Welcome to today's table talk session on Naca. I have been wanting to put this video out, and actually it should be a series because there's just too much information to try and push out, and I know most times the attention span is not that long. So what I'm going to do is break down this series into small segments so that you'll stay with me. What I'm going to share is called a program called Naca, and Naca is Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, and it is a great tool to use if you are trying to financially get on track to work your way into home ownership. Now, my husband and I, we purchased a home this year back in May, and we began our process through the NACA program. Now, NACA will tell you this when you go to the workshop, and I'll talk about that in a second, how to get hooked up with NACA. That's what we're going to talk about today. But anyway, so when you go to the workshop, they will share with you what ours did, that NACA does not promote through commercials. They don't have like a huge billboard saying, join NACA. Typically, what they do is they are able to share who they are through word of mouth. So this sister went through NACA, this brother went through NACA, and then you tell your auntie and your cousin and them about NACA, and then all of a sudden you're in the process. So it's word of mouth. And so because my husband and I were told about this program, we started in the program, and I definitely understand the benefits of going through it. I wanted to share the program with you. So for NACA, the main thing that you need to know is that you want to go to the website, which I'm going to show here. And when you go to the website, of course, you're going to check out, what you see, make some observations, some things to know. I am very inquisitive, and I like to research things. I mean, it's great to hear about good things, but you just want to know for yourself. So I'm definitely inquisitive, and I research. So you just look through the website, kind of see what you can gain through information on your own. And then, of course, check out this video to figure out, what the process was like with us when we began with NACA. When you scroll down through the screen, you'll notice that there is the interest rate for a 30-year mortgage, and then there's the interest rate for the 15-year mortgage. And NACA is known for primarily these main things. This is a NACA workbook, and you can find this workbook on the website. And I used to print sheets off sometimes just so that I was tracking myself, even though I have the workbook now. Before I went to the meeting was like 3 months out, but my husband and I wanted to be proactive, so we started doing things that they would require of us before we went to the meeting, which is a good thing. And that's something I'll share also. So NACA is known for having to make you have a no down payment, for no closing costs, no PMI, no consideration of credit score, no perfect credit required, and interest rate are below market, the regular market. And these are things that you definitely will notice on the website when you look at the interest rate on NACA's website versus when you go to like a BB&T or even like a state employees credit union or Navy Federal. When you go look at these other websites and you find out how much their interest rate are for their loans, you will notice that NACA definitely has the lowest interest rate. And they work with a bank. They work typically with Bank of America. There was another bank that they were associated with, but they don't use them, I don't think, anymore. But for sure, I know they go with Bank of America. So when we say no down payment, typically when you go to purchase a home, you are required to pay a down payment. What NACA does have is what they call earnest money. That's a whole nother conversation I can get to later, but there is earnest money, but it's not what you pay for with a down payment. Earnest money is like the money you would need to get an inspection done on your home, money that you need to have saved up when you move into your home, where you have to possibly purchase a refrigerator. Like our home was a brand new build, but it didn't come with a refrigerator, so we had to purchase one when we moved in. So there's some things that you'll have to purchase, but you want to have that cushion there so that you're prepared when you move into your home. The other thing are things like closing costs. Like most of the loans that you'll acquire when you go with a loan application, typically there's attorney fees and these other different kind of wordings, where you're paying for, like you would a car typically has a title and things like that. Well, you have to pay for a processing fee and things like that. Well, that's considered a part of a closing cost. So when you go with Naca, those kind of fees are waived and you don't pay them. No PMI, so principal mortgage insurance. So that's the interest that you pay to say, if you default on your loan, that the people who gave you the loan will get their money back. There's insurance there so that they're not at a loss. It'll be on you. And the next thing is no consideration of credit score. So people who have like a 400, is that 400 credit score, 440, 530, whatever your credit score that you believe is low and you can't get that money that you're desiring, they don't consider that. What they look for is that you're able to, through the process, be able to build your credit back up because you'll start doing due diligence. You'll clean up your credit in the process. Like this program not only helps prepare you for home ownership, but it also gives you light on your financial obligations and helps you to see you and what you're doing with your finances, which is why I'm actually promoting NACA. Like, that's the reason why. Because financially, it literally was like having a financial advisor, but you yourself are having to research and advocate for you. And then the next part is that no perfect credit score required. So it's not like you have to have a 640, 700, 813, nothing like that. And then the interest rate again is below market. So those are the perks of going through NACA. I will preface this with a clause and say that my husband and I began with NACA, but we did not finish with NACA. Not knocking NACA, not saying anything negative. We just went a different route because we were in a lease and we needed to be in a home before the lease ended, and that was just our desire. And if we would have gone through NACA, our timing wouldn't have, they don't really care necessarily about your lease agreement and things like that. Whereas when you have somebody and they're like, okay, well, we can get you this amount. You have the house that you're looking for. Okay, we put in you're approved for it, and you have your money. It just worked out for us to go a different route, and that's okay. So those are the main takeaways, and this is just the first part, but I am going to add some more. The next part that I want to discuss, and this is the second thing, I'm only going to do two things today. The first thing is introducing what NACA is and the perks of doing NACA. The second part that I want to share is that you will have to register for a NACA workshop. And this workshop is about 3 hours long. And when you go through the workshop, you will get this booklet. If you don't want to print the booklet, they'll give you one for free. Okay. If I were you, I would take a friend with you because there's nothing like doing it with someone else or somebody that you can talk to about the process. So if you have a friend, another sister that desires, or another couple, whatever, that desires to be a homeowner, then this is something that you could do, collaboratively, talk about the process and, have an accountability partner. But you'll get this workbook, and when you get the workbook, there are going to be some pages that they're going to have you to, highlight and focus on. When you look at my workbook, you can see that I wrote notes. So when we were doing the worksheet, I was writing notes. We went through every page in the book, literally, and that's why the workshop took 3 hours, because they want you to understand what the program is all about, and I think that's pretty good. So they'll give you the workbook. Now, something that I did prior to going to the workshop was I went on the website and I previewed the book, which again, you have that option as well. My husband and I were basically prepared and understood what they were saying because we'd already read through the information. So when they were talking, it was more so we were listening to people asking questions and, just adding to it. Now, the other part that I want to share with that is that, as you can see in the workbook, I printed a page out, and this is on page 39, right? Okay, so on page 39, it says intake session and next steps. So you're going to go to the workshop, right? And after you finish the workshop, they're going to have you fill out this card, and the card says, do you have money in your savings? And they'll talk about how much, like basically that you're ready to really purchase a home. They'll ask, are there any delinquencies on your account? Do you owe anybody? Like things that you should know. If your credit is clean, what we say a clean kind of credit, or if it's a little messy and you need to tighten up. So it'll be like a little survey, so to speak. And then they'll email you a Naca email. So you'll have your own login to get into what they call the web file. Now, before you go to your actual intake session with your advisor, the person that's going to be helping you, there's a list of things that you're going to need to have completed, okay? And that list includes that you scheduled an intake session, that means with your financial advisor or mortgage counselor, basically, and that you prepare by getting these different documents to bring. So, what I did, I printed this paper out, and every time I collected my husband things and my things, I would check it to say, got it, got it, got it, put a check mark beside it, right? And then we created what we called our Naca binder. So this was our cover sheet right here, our Naca binder. But we had a big spiral binder. You see how thick that is with those papers in there? Our papers were in sleeves because you have to be very detailed in what you do in sleeves. And we just gathered our information and put everything in that binder. So whenever we had our follow-up sessions with our mortgage advisor, we took that binder and we just made sure that we were on top of things and doing what was asked, reading ahead, being prepared. So that is part one on NACA. And part two, I will talk about how I organized the Google Drive and making sure that we were preparing our budget to make sure that we were saving and, just getting on track with that part. So, if you are interested in that journey that we have gone through or went through to purchase our home, or if you're thinking about, doing better with your finances and making sure that you are on track to being a homeowner, I ask you to consider NACA, even if you just want to go through it to help you get on track for the financial aspect of it, to get some financial knowledge. Because again, we didn't finish with NACA, but NACA, we were prepared when we went to go through our loan application. Everything NACA asked for was what they asked for us for my loan officer. So it was like the same. And we were prepared because NACA told us what documentations were going to be needed. So there is one more thing. When you go to the NACA website, there's a section where you can type in your zip code. I live near Charlotte, North Carolina, so the closest location for the workshop was St. Paul Baptist Church. And as you can see, the workshop is full for November the 16th and in December. So usually they'll try and offer a workshop like one time a month. So they're already booked for the rest of this year. And what happened to us is that we had to wait 3 months out in order to sign up or register for a workshop. So the sooner you sign up, the better it will be, or the chance that you'll have in order to be able to get in a slot for the workshop. Again, being proactive, and even if you feel as though you're not ready right now and you want to clean up your credit and things like that, it's okay. The sooner you start NACA, the quicker they can show you where you are with your finances and help get you on track. All right, that's really all this time. So I'll see you next time for our next Table Talk session. Thank you for joining in.